What could two simple, peaceful, apparently poorly maintained golf courses have to do with international espionage and nuclear secrets? Far more than you would hope. Take a quick trip with me to the United States Deep South, Louisiana, just outside Shreveport. This is Stonebridge Golf Club. And this is Old Oaks Golf Club. They look harmless enough, right? But there's something unsettling about them that has a lot less to do with 9 irons and more to do with launch codes. They're both owned by this man, who has deep ties and loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party that he doesn't even try to hide, and they're located on either side of this, the Barksdale Air Force Base, home to the U.S. Air Force Global Strike Command, which controls all of the United States intercontinental ballistic missiles and nuclear bombers. So, how did this happen, and what would China want here anyway? You're about to see just how deep the rabbit hole goes.
A recent investigation is putting a Chinese businessman who shares extensive ties with Beijing under the spotlight. This follows a report by the Daily Caller revealing that his 2 golf courses are located just miles from key U.S. Air Force bases.
Let's start with the owner, Eugene G. Who is he, and why should you care? Just your average golf course owner with profound connections to a Chinese apparatus bent on military supremacy. Nothing to see here. From a DCNF translation of his autobiography, Eugene G, or G. Yuei-chin, started working for the Chinese government in 1981. He traveled with a trade envoy to Europe, Japan, and the US, but then quit for a short study stint at New York University until opportunity called. An ill friend left him a spot in a Chinese government envoy to Louisiana, paying $300 an hour to meet with state leadership. He says that the governor let him stay, so that's exactly what he did. Oh, and he really likes China, but don't take it from me. I once again feel profoundly that intense longing deep inside me, that voice buried deep in my heart that has never faded. I want to do all that I possibly can to make a real difference for China's core interests. Core interests? What are these core interests, and what do they have to do with 2 golf courses next to a nuclear-capable Air Force base? Let's pull on that thread a little, shall we? G's stated aim for the golf course is a simple platform for people-to-people diplomacy. Politicians and dignitaries, business friends, university presidents, they all come to play golf. And that's not a conspiracy theory, that's the sales pitch. Chinese government records list him as an overseas committee member in an arm of the nation's United Front Work Department, and he attended a whole circuit of conferences across China in 2018. Haven't heard of the United Front? They'd likely prefer that you didn't. This is not your average golfers association. Let's ask the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party.
The threat posed by the CCP is not abstract. We see this aggression here at home, where the party has stolen American intellectual property, technology.
United Front is a unique blend of engagement, influence activities, and intelligence operations that the Chinese Communist Party uses to influence other countries' policy and to gain access to advanced foreign technology. Mao Zedong called the United Front China's magic weapon, and the BBC reports that they're suspected of multiple cases of foreign interference and espionage. From the golf course, you can see flight paths and personnel routes. You gain social access to decision makers. No James Bond level gadgets required. And allow me to remind you, these golf courses are right next to a military base that controls most of our nuclear arsenal. But G had another job that you might find interesting. Our favorite golf course owner served as an ambassador tasked with recruiting talent for the Jinan startup area in Shandong, focused on AI, supercomputers, and robotics as part of China's military-civil fusion policy. The U.S. State Department describes this as an aggressive national strategy to develop the most advanced military technology in the world. Concerning. They also say that it's to ensure the new innovations simultaneously advance economic and military development. So, Xi says he supports China's core interests, he's part of a group accused of espionage, bent on Chinese military supremacy, and he's planted uncomfortably close on both sides of one of our most important strategic nuclear Air Force bases. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I'm glad you asked, because a war operation from last summer has an answer.
In early June, Ukraine snuck drones into Russia through shipping containers, apparently transported to their targets by unaware truck drivers.
You can see how close the drones get to the aircraft.
The surprise attack causing immense damage to Russia.
It wasn't just that drones launched from containers, but those containers were remotely opened, and then they launched their operations, were effective on what are considered some of the most capable military assets and platforms in any military's inventory.
Mackenzie Eglin, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, points out the United States is vulnerable should any of our enemies launch a similar attack.
Because we live in this open society, we are even more vulnerable than Russia. Our ports and our rails and our rivers, dams, and locks, it would be extremely hard to ensure or guarantee security.
Regardless of how you feel about Ukraine or Russia, this incident is telling. Ukraine used Russian vehicles, Russian roads, Russian shipping containers, all on Russian land for this operation. Imagine how much easier it would be if they owned that land themselves. And it's not just the one. CCP actors are placing roots next to countless U.S. military assets. This gaping vulnerability is big enough that it just might blow your mind. Remember when I mentioned the rabbit hole before? Let's dive in head first.
It's one thing for a Chinese couple to buy a trailer park. It is another thing for them to go to great lengths to hide who they are, including using multiple shell companies to conceal their identities.
In 2025, Phil Lenzicki reported on a foreign-owned trailer park that shares a fence with Missouri's Whiteman Air Force Base, home to the world's only nuclear-capable stealth bomber. Not only that, but this park is linked to a convicted fraudster with ties to China's People's Liberation Army. And much like the United Front, the People's Liberation Army has the stated goal of gaining access to advanced foreign technology. Representative John Moulinar, who chairs the House Select Committee on the CCP, said that this trend is growing rapidly. He warned the time for sleepwalking past China's spending spree on strategically vital land across the U.S. needs to end. It would be bad enough if this was the only one, but there are more. So many more. Gordon Chang reported in January of 2023 that then President Joe Biden opened the door for a Chinese company to buy 370 acres in close proximity to the Grand Forks Air Force Base in North Dakota. Luckily, in May of 2024, Biden blocked another purchase by MindOne Cloud Computing, which the Department of Treasury reports is majority owned by nationals of the People's Republic of China, from buying land within 1 mile of the Francis E. Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming. So that one didn't succeed, but these did. In July of 2024, Senator John Cornyn of Texas raised alarm about Sung Guanchin, an oligarch with ties to the Chinese Communist Party, purchasing 130,000 acres in proximity to the Laughlin Air Force Base. Fort Bragg Air Force Base in North Carolina, and Camp Grayling National Guard Training Facility in Michigan, and MacDill Air Force Base in Florida, which is home to the U.S. CENTCOM, Travis Air Force Base in North Carolina, Camp Pendleton in California.
And the list goes on and on and on.
None of this looks dramatic up close. No dark alleys, trench coats, earpieces, and gadgets, but fraudsters, golf carts, fundraisers, and networking events. And all of this leaves leaders grappling with deeply uncomfortable questions. Eugene G is an American citizen. Should the U.S. ban people from buying land if they passionately champion China's core interests? Does that cross a First Amendment line? Does your answer change if they also seek casual access to senior military officers and national decision makers? These activities on their own aren't illegal, and as far as we know, they don't hurt anyone. But now throw in active involvement in a CCP arm bent on acquiring military tech to make China the strongest martial power on Earth. Former national security official David Faith says that China is preparing to be able to
fight and defeat the United States military in a war.
The worry in Washington is that these assets could be used for espionage or to cause havoc in a time of war.
Maybe it's a false alarm. Maybe nothing comes of this at all. Maybe all this is an innocent business and we do nothing. Or maybe David Faith is right. China makes a move and the board is already set. Their operatives have roots next to the most destructive weapons on the planet. And they're comfortably waiting and watching. And while they were preparing for war, all that we did was play golf. And of course, none of this would be possible without the incredible investigative reporting by the DCNF's Phil Lenzicki.